Hi everyone, and welcome back. Today we are going to be doing a review of my most recent book of the month pick, which is The Collected Regrets of Clover. Now, this book is a contemporary fiction and is also a debut novel for the author. So I'll be honest and say that I really never anticipated picking this book up. I hadn't actually even heard about it until I was looking through the Book of the Month selections and saw it. And while I was looking at the description of the book, I saw something that really convinced me that I needed to read it. And what I saw was that someone was saying that this book takes the world's scariest subject and makes it life-affirming with real, raw emotion. And there was just something about that description that I felt like I really needed, so here we are. In this book, we are following our main character, Clover, who has kind of a rough start to life when her parents die when she is really young. So since she has no family members left, she has to move in with her grandpa and moves away to a new city. And she acclimates to a new city and living with her grandpa and going to a new school. And then her teacher dies, and she is in the classroom when her teacher dies. So already in her very short life, she's kind of been surrounded by death. The really interesting thing about this experience that Clover has with her teacher is that all of the other kids are panicked, or they feel scared, or maybe they don't even realize what's going on. But Clover understands what's going on, and she doesn't feel scared or panicked. She feels like she needs to be there with her teacher. So she goes to him and holds his hand until another adult gets to the classroom and collects all of the students. So this experience kind of sets up what we know about Clover and sets up what she will do with the future of her life. For Clover, death is not weird and taboo. It feels very normal considering she has dealt with so much of it in the short time of her life, and she just doesn't feel scared to talk about it or deal with it. So Clover's life continues, and she gets through schooling, and it is time for her to go to college and decide what she is going to do with her adult life. Now, since she has kind of been around death and never felt scared by death, she decides to do a little bit of an unorthodox or new career for the time period that she's in, and that is to be a death doula. A death doula is essentially someone who is just friends with a person who is dying. And Clover's whole goal in her career is to help someone transition from their earthly body to whatever they feel like is coming next. So she doesn't push any certain type of ritual or religion. She's just kind of there to befriend them and listen to them and make sure that they aren't lonely. And a lot of her clients are people who maybe don't have any friends or family left, or just maybe don't have anyone else that they can have be with them in those final moments. As part of her death doula process, Clover writes down the last or final words of every single client that she has. And she's got it sectioned out into notebooks. So some of them have a regret, some of them have a wish or something that they would have liked to have done but didn't do in their life, or some of them will give her advice for life. And so she will document that in a notebook after each person passes away. And it's kind of her way of remembering what was so important to them in those final moments. To Clover, it's kind of representing that individual's legacy, and she uses that list as a guide of sorts. Our story continues, and Clover is really good at what she does, and she's constantly busy, but she is always around dying people, and she kind of comes to realize that she doesn't really have a life outside of her job. She is so dedicated to helping people in their final moments that she's neglecting where she's at currently in her life. She realizes that she doesn't have any friends, she doesn't have a love life or a social life. So she's kind of trying to think about what she needs to do to change that. But then she gets a client, or actually she's hired by a family to help transition a woman named Claudia. And through her experience with Claudia, she actually becomes friends with her. And she learns about Claudia's life and love and regrets and things that she wished she would have done differently. And it really resonates with Clover with where she's at this point in her life. Through this time with Claudia, Clover starts to think about things that she's never really thought about and starts to realize her mindset and about the way that she responds to things and just things that she has never really processed and dealt with up to this point in her life. Now, I do want to keep this review spoiler free, so let me go ahead and stop telling you about the plot so that I don't spoil it, and I'm gonna go ahead and share my thoughts with you. The first thing that I feel like I need to mention is how different this book is. I mean, the entire book is about death. Now, I know one should expect that based on the title and the description of the book, and I did know that going into it, but I just really wanted to highlight that in case you are interested in this book. Just know that the entire concept of the plot and the characters revolves around death. Something else that I felt like it was really important to mention was actually a really big portion of the characters and their development. So while I was reading, I came to realize that our main character Clover is in her 40s. But in the book, she acts very, very young. And maybe that's the whole point. Maybe that is to connect her with the traumas of her childhood. But the way that her character was written and the thought process that she was going through, but then with some of the situations that were very adult she was doing and dealing with, it to me just felt like there was a major disconnect, and I almost felt weird and like I couldn't connect to Clover because she just was kind of all over the place. If you have read The Maid by Nita Prose, Clover really reminds me of Molly in that she is very developmentally behind and not making decisions that someone at her age would. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. I just wanted to share that I felt like I had a really hard time connecting with our main character here. I think I've kind of gone off a little bit negative on this book, so let me go ahead and share something that I did like. So let me say, I did like the concept and the message and the thought behind this book. It really was beautiful, and it really did highlight things that we should all be thinking about, and just the reminder that life is so short and we need to enjoy it. And I really feel like you get some good advice through this book. Now, you might be expecting that this book is super depressing because it's all about death, but that's actually not the case. It's more so about the feelings and the life and happiness of the people before they get to the end of their life, which I think is a really good message, and just wanted to share that it's not all depressing. If you are wondering if I would recommend this book, I would say that if you are looking for a book that is out of your normal comfort zone, or if you are looking for something that really gets you thinking about life and love and experiences, this could be a great book for you. I would, however, not recommend this book if you are bothered by death, or if you get really depressed or anxious thinking about death or losing people close to you. That is what this entire book is about. So it's up to you if you think that this is something that you can read. Like I said, there are some really good messages, but maybe just do a little bit of research on the book before you make your decision if it's not a topic that you really like to deal with. Now, on the topic of Book of the Month as a whole, you might have noticed that I haven't been doing as many reviews for their books. And I have actually decided to go ahead and pause my membership for the time being because I was just having a really hard time finding books that I really wanted to read until this one, but I've still decided to pause my membership because there are so many books that I want to read, and I just don't really want to continue to buy books that I don't love. So I will keep you updated on if I decide to reactivate my Book of the Month subscription. But for right now, this is the last Book of the Month review you're going to see from me for the next couple of months. I hope that you enjoyed it, and please let me know if you decide to read this book, because I would love to know what your thoughts are and if you enjoyed it or if you didn't. I also think I forgot to mention my final review, and I want to say I rated this one like 3 stars. It was enjoyable, but not my favorite book. So I would just love to know what your thoughts are on it. And thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye!